Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. This is actually a continuation of the last one where our friend Gyro said, I have a question. He actually had three, and I'm going to answer all three because they're pretty good ones. His second question, is it true you can never defeat someone more skilled and experienced than you, no matter how much you train? Okay. It's unlikely, my friend, to beat somebody who is more skilled and experienced than you, but fighting has a lot of variables in it. A lot of variables. Anybody can have an off day. Anybody. If you were to have a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather, if he was having an off day, well, unless you are a really, really good boxer, he'd still probably beat you. But if you're a world-class boxer and you're fighting Floyd Mayweather on a really bad day, maybe he's got the flu or something, yeah, that man probably wouldn't be undefeated at that point. But if you're starting here and there's somebody you want to beat who's right there, and we have this idea, if I keep training, I'll get up to where he is. Right? But if they are somebody who really understands competition, as you're moving up, whoop, so are they. But is it true you can never eclipse them? Is it true you can never beat them? No, absolutely not. This happens constantly in the gym, constantly. My goal as a coach is to train fighters to win fights, obviously, but one thing I want is to encourage all of my students to get to the point where they can challenge me, where they could beat me. Because if I am not able to push them in that direction, I would consider that a tremendous failure on my part. And from time to time, it happens, and it's glorious when I see my students who are able to catch me from time to time, who are able to do things that once upon a time they were not able to do. If you have a really good fighter and a pretty good fighter who's less experienced, it's possible 9 times out of 10, this guy is going to beat this guy. But once in a while, this guy's going to win that match. Because anything can happen in a fight. There are a ton of variables, especially an MMA fight. The fewer rules, the more variables. And MMA has the fewest rules out of all combat sports, by far. And it has the most ways to win a fight, the most ranges of combat to fight from. And there is not enough time in the world to be great at everything. You should make it a goal to be well versed in everything, but to be truly great at everything, oh man. If you're fighting a phenomenal jiu-jitsu player, for example, the common knowledge is, well, if you're a better striker, strike him. Keep the fight on your feet. Punch him in the face, that type of stuff. And if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're the great grappler fighting the kickboxer, what do? Your goal? Take him down, grapple him to death. Now, each of those men has a very divergent skill set. And that's basically the story of the sport of mixed martial arts. Divergent skill sets matching up against each other. But right now, obviously in the sport, we have a lot of very well-rounded athletes. Even so, while there may not be huge gaping holes in their games like a generation or 2 generations ago in the sport of cage fighting, yeah, we're going to see disparities. You might say, for example, Yoel Romero is objectively a better wrestler than Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya has a striking arsenal that perhaps surpasses Yoel Romero's by leaps and bounds. Those two are going to fight. How's that going to be? Either of those fighters could win that fight. That's what makes it compelling. So if you're wondering, could I ever beat my sensei? Could I ever beat my coach? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Are you going to have to work at it? There was a story, and I'm trying to remember the details. I remember the moral very clearly, but the details not so much. I remember there was a kind of a technological race going on back in the 80s between the United States and Japan. Both countries vying to be the world power in technological development or something like that. And there was this group of Americans, I don't remember who, but they were having this conference about how to beat their Japanese competitors. And one man finally stood up and he said, well, wait a minute. Do you believe the Japanese are standing still? In response to all these ideas, if we just work harder, we'll beat them. Do you believe they're standing still? No. Your competitors are never standing still, therefore, neither should you. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.